This video is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Now, at the time of me making this video, the iPhone 14 has an amazing sale going on, but if I'm being honest, it's not worth it, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max have been on sale, and I've recommended it since you're basically getting the same phone as the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, but for a cheaper deal, and I still stand on that. But with the iPhone 14, it's very tricky because the iPhone 15 is actually a better, more significant upgrade, and I really do think that it's worth the extra $100. And as of September 14th, the iPhone 14 is $700 at Apple, which is an amazing deal. But even if you don't want the iPhone 15 and don't think that it's worth the extra money, guess what? The iPhone 15 isn't the only competition that the iPhone 14 has to deal with. See, the iPhone 13 is a phone that has the same chip as the iPhone 14, it has the same display, a very identical battery, and it's basically the exact same phone as the iPhone 14. And a major benefit to that is that you can get the iPhone 13 for even cheaper than the iPhone 14. So if you're someone who wants the iPhone 14, you actually have a lot of great options. You can either get the better phone, which is the iPhone 15 for $100 more, or you can get the exact same phone for $100 less, which is the iPhone 13. So again, you have a ton of options to choose from. And speaking of pricing, it's already enough that phones have been getting increasingly expensive over the past 5 years. And the last thing that I needed was an $85 phone plan to top it all off. Now, if this is you and you ever thought, why the is my phone bill so high? Then let me tell you about Mint Mobile, who I'm partnering with in today's video. Now, phones and phone plans aren't the only things that have been affected by the skyrocketing inflation. The average American citizen is paying more for housing, food, and everyday essentials that allow us to go through our day. But by switching to Mint Mobile, that's one less bill eating up your hard-earned money. With Mint, you'll be paying $15 a month and you won't have to sacrifice speed, coverage, or data since they're built on the nation's largest 5G network. And the best part is that you don't have to go into a store to set up your plan. Everything is online, which makes it much more convenient for you and also convenient for Mint Mobile since they can keep those prices low. They cut out retail stores and salespeople, which basically results in prices not being hit with inflation. Now, getting more into the value that you get with Mint, as someone who previously was with a major carrier, I was getting the exact same speeds and coverage despite the fact that I was paying more. And to give you an example of Mint Mobile speeds, right here you can see that I'm able to load up and watch a 4K YouTube video with no problem. Online gaming gave me 0 lags with no connectivity issues, and simple Google searches are extremely fast and similar to other top tier providers. Switching to Mint is also super easy. Thanks to their digital eSIMs, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. And in total, it'll take you 15 minutes or less to complete this process. No more standing around waiting in line at a big wireless store. You can keep your current device and phone number and easily switch services. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM card free of charge. And getting back to how easy switching to Mint is, I own multiple phones, so I will put my SIM card in my phone and it will activate right away. And for my iPhone, I would just activate it through my settings, which was a much easier process than my last carrier. And all of Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint will also show you how much data you use each month and recommend plans that save you money. And Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. And now, as a special limited time offer, you can get their unlimited plan, which is normally only $30 a month, for only $15 a month. And that's 50% savings off their already low price. It only takes 15 minutes to pay as low as $15 a month for your phone plan, and it pretty much is that simple. You can use my link to get started, or click the link in the description, or scan my QR code, and this really does help out my channel. All across the US, the average American is spending $114 a month for their phone plan, so stop paying more than you need to on your wireless bill and start saving big with Mint Mobile. And if you've already switched, let me know down in the comments. Now, starting with design, the iPhone 14 has kept the signature look of the iPhone, which is good and bad at the same time. It's good because they decided to stick to a design that people like, but it's bad because it's very identical to the iPhone 13, which again, I would recommend buying over this. It's also even worse for the iPhone 14 because the iPhone 15 added the dynamic island notch, and even though both phones have a 60Hz refresh rate, I still would prefer the iPhone 15's newer look because I prefer dynamic island to the regular notch. And again, this phone looks the exact same as the iPhone 13 from the power button, volume rockers, and mute switch, all the way down to the speakers, lightning port, and back. Now, looking at the display, the iPhone 14 has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR display that I will say still holds up very well after a year of use. Whenever I was scrolling through my phone, it looked very nice, everything looked good, the responsiveness was very sharp, and the only problem that I had with it was the refresh rate. The fact that it's 60Hz is ridiculous because again, the price is outrageous. The average $700 phone is 120Hz to 90Hz, and it's still very identical to the iPhone 13. Also, whenever I was scrolling through apps, it felt a little laggy, and you could tell the frame rate drop as soon as you started going through the app. The bezels were pretty small. Right here, you can see that they're wrapped nicely around the screen. The notch is very small, so it's not as noticeable, and you'll get used to it very fast. And now when it comes to brightness, the iPhone 14 is at 800 nits, which is a bit dimmer than the iPhone 14 Pro, and I really noticed a difference when I was outside. I had trouble seeing the screen, and because of where I live, there's less shade, so there were many times where I couldn't see at all when the sun was out. And now when it comes to the size of the 14, I can't say whether or not you will love it or hate it, but I do want to list some pros and a few cons that you can look out for. Now, the pros of having a 6.1-inch screen is that the viewing experience is still really good. It's very easy to use compared to the 14 Plus, where I would struggle to reach to the top of the screen, and it fits into my pocket much easier, which really helps its mobility. And the only con is that it's not as big as the Plus or Pro Max, so the viewing experience won't be as good, but 6.1 inches is not really that small, so there aren't really any true cons. But again, I want to let you guys decide if the pros are worth the upgrade because everyone's needs are different. The resolution and viewing experience of the 14's display is an amazing benefit when it comes to watching videos and movies. I was able to see everything very clearly. Playing games on it was as fun as ever. Now, the iPhone 14 has a 3200 mAh battery that is the exact same as the iPhone 13 and was still easily able to last me all day with medium usage. I'm the type of person who is usually on my phone for a good amount of time, but not too long. I will be doing things like writing scripts, planning B-roll, shooting videos, scrolling through social media, watching YouTube videos, and texting my friends. And I'm usually getting over 4 hours of screen time a day, and I only charge my phone when I'm sleeping. I was also using my 14 on power saving mode sometimes, but most of the time I did use it to the max, and it still was able to perform very well. So if you do get the 14, battery won't be an issue. And if I could give you guys a quick estimate, I would say that my battery is usually on 15% by the end of the day, which is really good. But again, it's still very comparable to the iPhone 13. And right now, my battery health is at 88%, which hopefully will keep up longer. Previous iPhones are known for significant drops like this, and the 14 really isn't that much better. Now, the last thing that I wanted to touch on when it came to battery was the charging. And if I'm being honest, the charging really isn't that great in terms of speed. It would take me well over an hour to get to 100%. But like I said before, you only need one charge, so the long-lasting battery is a pretty great trade-off. Now, looking at software, the iPhone 14 supports iOS 16 and will also be supporting iOS 17. And despite it being able to support the latest version of iOS, there were many times where my 14 would freeze on me, and I would have to restart the phone for it to correct itself. And this didn't happen every day, but it did happen a little bit more than my iPhone 13. But besides the frequent freezes, most of the time the software was very smooth and worked very well. It felt just like my iPhone 14 Pro, and I feel like most of you guys will realize that in terms of software, it really isn't that much different from other models. And I also decided to test out some games. I play many power heavy games that can really test out the chip, and as you guys can see, it held up very well and I didn't get any lags while playing. And now the final thing that I wanted to note was that the iPhone 14 will be getting up to 5 years worth of software upgrades. So when it comes to longevity, this is the one thing that is better at when compared to the iPhone 13. And now just like the iPhone 13, the 14 has some really loud speakers that were really good whenever I used them. I would usually use them in the house whenever watching videos on social media or YouTube, and I didn't have to turn it all the way up because they were extremely loud. I also tested out how they sounded when playing music, and if I'm being honest, they're loud, and I'm very surprised that the quality was able to match. Now, the iPhone 14 has a 12 megapixel main camera, along with a 12 megapixel front and 12 megapixel ultra wide, and based on my usage over the past year, I would say that the pictures are still top tier. Starting with zoom modes, the iPhone 14 has a couple of different zoom modes, and every single zoom and ultra wide look really good. The shutter speed was very good from the start. I decided to test it out by shooting moving cars, and as you can see right here, the camera was able to capture most cars beautifully, no matter how fast they were going, so I was pretty satisfied. Now, looking at the outside photos, we can see that they have a really great shadow of depth whenever I'm taking pictures of myself, along with a pretty nice blur. And this is scaled all the way up once I use the portrait mode that Apple has always been pretty good at. Also, I took some random photos of street objects, the sky, and different aspects of nature. And I can honestly say that the 14 held up very well in these environments, and I'm really impressed. Now, taking a look at inside photos, the 14 was able to capture everything very nice, and I found the pictures to be slightly more detailed than the iPhone 13. Even when taking selfies, you can see how the camera handles already good lighting to produce an overall nicely taken photo. My skin tone looked really good, and the sharpness was really good as well. And now when it comes to shooting video, the iPhone 14 is easily one of the best phones in this price range. You have many different modes and frame rates to choose from. The video stabilization was out of this world. I shoot videos with my phone, so whenever I'm shooting my subject, I can use everything handheld, and the movements will be very smooth, which was very impressive. So all in all, I would definitely say that the iPhone 14 has an amazing video camera that'll give you some consistently good shots. Also, here are some extra videos that I was able to get. So here's the final question. Is the iPhone 14 a good phone to buy at this point in time? Well, like I said earlier in my video, Hell no. Because again, if you like the iPhone 14, you like the overall look of it, and you just want a cheaper flagship iPhone, then the 13 is the way to go. And if you want something with more innovation, then you can just choose the iPhone 15, which is only $100 more. And I think that the iPhone 14 being so similar to the iPhone 13 really ended up hurting the iPhone 14 and its longevity. But there it is, you guys. My review on the iPhone 14. And let me know down below, would you buy the iPhone 14? And if you would or you wouldn't, let me know why. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.